few people asked me to compare the Springfield to the Mauser, so I thought that's useful. And in particular, they wanted to see the two guns together, which I can easily do. So it's a real short video. This is a 1903 Springfield, and this one's a Remington. You can see on the front receiver ring that it's made by Remington. And I mean, not much of a story to tell. Most people know that the Springfield replaced the Krag, and I guess the military was using the Remington Lee before that, or concurrent with the Krag, and there are a lot of history books that cover those periods of time. The action is basically a Mauser. Our troops encountered the Mauser 98 at different conflicts, and the superiority of the Mauser was evident right away. So Springfield was set about to develop something on par or superior to. It has the two locking lugs. It has a safety lug here, which you can see, and that rotates into position. So if something were to happen with the front locking lugs, then this lug would prevent the bolt from moving backwards. The trigger is very similar to a Mauser. I didn't take the whole rifle apart, but I did take the floor plate off, and just to show you over here that the lower floor plate assembly is from the Mauser 98, and this is the Springfield. So you can tell, I mean, they're almost identical. This has a slight curvature because of the pistol grip in the stock here, and other than that, they're almost identical. The Springfield only has two screws, and the Mauser has a retaining screw at the front. No big deal. Anyhow, so that's the Springfield. There aren't that many features to note. To remove the bolt, you can see this little lever here, which is kind of convenient, and they even go so far as to say off on the lever in case there's any confusion, and then on, and now it's locked in place. Caliber is 30-06. The safety, quite familiar. It even says ready on, and then that's locked and trigger locked. That's bolt's not locked, but the trigger's locked, and that's fire. Sorry, that's fire. And oh, I should mention it has a two-piece bolt. It has a claw extractor. Sorry, two-piece firing pin, and it has a claw extractor. And the two-piece firing pin, some people make a lot of noise about that. I never had any problem with Springfields, either the original military configuration or the sporters. And I've set down a sporter for you to look at, and you can see that people did a lot to turn them into, I think, really handsome sporting rifles. And this one is made by Springfield Armory. This one, as I said, is Remington. Maybe they're heavy by modern standards, but they're excellent, and they're fine. And you probably can read about Sedgley, Springfields, and Griffin and Howe made some really good sporters, and some of them have the original barrel. This one does have the flaming bomb on the barrel, which you could, I can't focus in really on it. Anyway, you could look at the flaming bomb on the web. And then here's a typical Mauser 98, and I collected these for years. This is a real nice Peruvian version. We'll see if we can get the crest showing. This one, forget where I picked it up, but serial number 10011, and it has all the features you would want, and a really elaborate rear sight, beautifully made. I mean, I don't know what it would cost to make something like that these days. A lot. And the action looks like it needs bluing, but they didn't blue them. They just left them in the white. This is to remove the bolt on the Mauser. You simply move this over, and the bolt comes out and release. And this one has the straight bolt handle. The Springfield has the curved down bolt handle. But there were other Mausers well, this one. Now this is aftermarket, but I've seen every kind of variation. I'm sure that different armories turned the bolts down. Oh, and this one is an Argentinian model 1908. Yeah, 1908. That's a 1909. And these were the guns of choice around the world. Every country was ordering Mausers from Germany. This one, the bolt release just on the side of the action. Very similar to the Peruvian. And again, the Argentinian action is in the white. And I'll just open the bolt, and this is kind of neat. If you look at the muzzle, which actually comes with a muzzle cap that just fits on, you can see that this is not 8mm Mauser or 8x57 Mauser, and it's actually 9.3 by 62, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, very unique military configuration rifle, but in a sporting caliber, and somebody has these scope mounts installed, and the crest is still on this Argentinian underneath the scope mount, and the Peruvian crest I showed you. So people ask me about the Springfield. Well, basically it's a Mauser made in America. Is there anything superior about it? Not really. It's got the wing safety. I mean, some people like having a knob on the bolt, but whether that's a superiority, I'm not sure. And everything else about it is very familiar. They had some trouble, as most people know, with heat treatment in the earlier models, but then they figured out how to do that. And they were made by Springfield Armory, Rock Island Armory. I'm not sure if there were other places. The rear sights, or rather the sights, are I think from the Krag, and so is the two-piece firing pin. But that's about it. It's not that much to show. They're excellent rifles, both of them. Actions are great. Collector value is high. If you can find them in condition like this, they're always good to buy. And 30-06 is obviously more common than 8mm Mauser, which a lot of the Mauser 98s were chambered for. Although the Peruvian model is for a different caliber, specifically for the Peruvian military. Anyhow, real simple video. So you're basically buying a Mauser, but it's a Springfield. And they weren't as common as people think. The P-17 Enfield was used by American troops more than the Springfield, apparently, numerically anyway. That doesn't mean this isn't an excellent rifle. So that's about it. Thanks for watching.